My team go hard. My team rap Jesus. We about to go far. We about to go far.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to another amazing episode of Fervently Creations Marketplace Ministry. Y'all know how we do. We always bring people that are doing different things in the marketplace, but also in ministry. This is a safe place for you to allow your marketplace and your ministries to coexist. And so I love talking to people and just actually seeing exactly what it is that they're doing. And I would love to talk with you as well. So if you are someone that is in marketplace ministry, or you would just like to come on the show and just promote what it is you're doing, whether you have a product, whether you have a book, whether you have music, no matter what it is that you're doing, nonprofit, whatever it is that you're doing in the community or in the business realm, please come on. I would love to talk with you. And also just use this platform as a way to promote and get your voice out. Listen, I just love these organic conversations. So if you want to be part of the show, make sure you go to my website, www.ferventlycreations.com. And if you would like to support and be a blessing to the show, you can cash at me at $Tish0621. Again, that's $Tish0621. Listen, with these shows, once we bring the guests on, I love just kind of seeing exactly how they move, what it is that they're doing outside of the four walls of the church. And I'm not saying that what people do are minimizing what people are doing that are called to the church, are called to the pulpits, are called to the four walls of the church. But I love to see exactly how people are taking the gospel outside of the four walls of the church. I always like to tell people, and I say it every show, remember that there are 5 gospels. It's Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and you. Sometimes the only one they pay attention to, the only one they would give ear to is the very last one that I mentioned, which is you. Sometimes you can sit there and you can start saying, well, the Bible says in Matthew 9 verses this, that, and they're like, huh? Like that's foreign to them. But once you start relating to them on what it is that you're going through, once you say, you know what, I used to be out there. I used to be that stripper. I used to be that drug dealer. I was one that was also struggling with this illness or this disease. Now you have grasped their attention. You have now have got their ear, and now you can actually start ministering to them in a whole different way. A lot of times we're so quick to say, the Bible says, but we can speak the Bible. Once we're evangelizing to people, we can speak the word of God, and they don't even know that we're coming out of scripture. You can sit there and tell someone quick, you know what? I'm pretty sure what is destined for you has already been purposed for you. Whatever it is that God has planned for you. You mentioned God, but hey, whatever God is, I'm pretty sure it is already set for you. And I do not think it's evil. I do believe that it's good. But as soon as I had switched that around and said, well, the Bible says in Jeremiah 29 and chapter 11, they have closed their ear. So know how to evangelize to those that are outside of the church. A lot of times we only know how to talk Christianese. Do you know how to talk something other than Christianese to someone that is struggling, someone that is not in the church, someone that's never picked up the Bible, someone that has never read the Bible before, someone that may have some issues with some of the things that they read in the Bible? Not everybody's going to take to the fact that, hey, it was a donkey speaking in the Bible. Not everybody's going to take to the fact that, hey, that God is a God of miracles and he was parting waters and he was parting the Red Sea and stuff. And so you have to know how to minister to them and show them what is God doing in your life today. How did he heal you today? I'm one that God had laid hands on me, and he had me lay hands on myself, and instantly I had received a miracle. And so I can share my testimony. Why? Because they may know me. Some of them may have seen me during that time that I was in affliction, during that time that I was in pain, during that time that I was hurting, during that time that I was depressed or I was battling with depression. And they may want to know, Tish, how did you get out of it? How did you shift? What happened? Like, I remember once you was doing this, that, and another. I remember once you was a stripper. I remember once you was out selling your body for sex. I was. And so they may want to know what caused this change, what changed in you, what shifted in you. And then I can minister to them from my own story. So do not forget the power of your own story. With that, I'm going to shift a little bit, and I want to tell you about some things that I actually have coming up as well. and some of the stuff kind of relates to that. But one of the things that I have coming up is, or have out, let me tell you, I have a perfume line, Fervently Intense perfume line. If you have not, make sure you go to my website, Fervently Intense. I love this fragrance. I love being able to go out, and once people say, oh, that smells good, what are you wearing? And I can say, hey, this is Fervently Intense. It's part of my perfume line. So that perfume line it's amazing. It does have a hint of frankincense and myrrh in it. Those of you that loves your anointing oils and stuff, it is 100% organic. So those that have sensitive skin, I promise you, this is the perfume for you as well. And it's long lasting. It's going to linger. It's going to stay on you, right? All right. Also, Fervently Intense. It's not only a perfume line, but let me tell you, I have a prayer book. Fervently. Let me go into what fervently means. First of all, y'all hear me saying fervently creations, fervently intense this, fervently that. Fervent means to be persistent. Persistent. So in your prayer life, we have to be persistent. Once I was getting ready to write this book, this is my first solo book. I'm so proud of it. This is my baby right here, right? But as I was getting ready to write this and sit down to write the prayer book, God began to shift some things, and he began to tell me, he said, a lot of people are praying spiritual warfare prayers with ancient weaponry. Just as things have evolved in the natural, for as on the battlefield as a veteran, so have things evolved in the spiritual realm. So why would I sit there and start fighting my spiritual enemies with an arrow once in the natural? As a veteran, we're using semi-automatic weapons. I'm calling in airstrikes on whatever it is that's attacking me and my household. I am using guided missiles, calling it on whatever it is that's attacking my finances. So if you want to know deeper and more about that revelation on what God had shared with me on that, and also part 2 of this book is nothing but warfare prayers. It's going to guide you into using them. You don't have to go up and start looking for different tools and different weapons or whatever. I got you. It's in the book. So make sure you go ahead. You can go to my website and pre-order that one. We're also looking for that, expecting that to be out closer to the end of November, beginning December timeframe. Also, I do have another anthology coming up for those that are looking and saying, hey, Tish, we love the last 2 anthologies you're doing. Are you doing another one? Yes, I am. One of the things is that a lot of us, especially those that are in ministry, but we walk around, women, we walk around and we act like everything is okay. Once we're able to put on makeup, it's easy to walk behind a mask, hide behind a mask. But let's be honest, sometimes once we was walking out in public and we're doing things, we were not okay. How did you get through whatever mental health issue that you had? How did you get through get through depression? How did you get through with anxiety? How did you get through with suicidal thoughts? Somebody needs to know your testimony. Somebody needs to know your story. Somebody needs to hear your voice. Why? Because this book will also be a deliverance tool for them. Again, another evangelistic tool that you can use to actually help those that you know that may be struggling and with mental health issues. But tell your story. Your voice is powerful. Speaking of your voice, this anthology, as well as the next one I'm going to mention, it does come with a 6-day virtual summit. So all authors will have a speaking opportunity as well to be part of that virtual summit, to where they will be speakers. So not only will you write your story, but you will speak about your story as well. With that, Prisoner of War, that is the other anthology, Prisoner of War in the Mind. A lot of times we're allowing what people say to us, what people did to us, our own past mistakes, our failures, whatever we consider our losses in our life or whatever, we are allowing it to constantly replay over and over in our mind. Why? Why are we doing that? Once we do that, I need you to understand that once you do that, you are now creating a war zone on the inside of your mind. Once you continue to allow that stuff to just constantly be on replay, it's constantly repeating. That's what it is. I was mixing the 2 words, right? It's constantly repeating in your mind. Once you begin to do that, now you have created a war zone, and now you are a prisoner of war inside of your own mind. It's some of us that have found out how to escape out of that war zone. It's some of us that have learned how to escape from that prison. We've learned how to come out of that mindset. That's what it is, a mindset shift that had us stuck in a domestic violence relationship, that had us stuck in addictions, whether it was alcohol, drugs, sex addictions, spending addictions, whatever your addiction was, right? Social media addictions. Come on, y'all, that's real. So whatever your addiction was, it could be something to say, let me tell you how I just said enough is enough. I'm no longer robbing Peter to pay Paul. Not another day will I begin to live a paycheck to paycheck, that I'm going to begin to open up multiple streams of income, multiple sources of income. What was it? It said, you know what? I'm not fit to continue to be this joker's punching bag. They're not going to continue to hit on me. What was it? It made you just say, you know what? I need to be healed for myself. I need to shift the way that I see about myself. What was your turning point? If you had that turning point, you're healed from it. Listen, somebody that's going to pick up this book is going to need your testimony. They're going to need your story. They're going to need to know exactly what it was that you did to set yourself free. So again, another book, another anthology, awesome way for you to connect, awesome way for you to get your voice heard, get your story heard as well. So talking about story and talking about healing, I want to go to Matthew 9:22 for our verse today. It says, but Jesus turning and seeing her said, daughter, be of good cheer. Thy faith have made thee whole. And the woman was made whole from that hour. Some of you, that we're struggling in some things or whatever, and we're pressing our way, just as she did. She was pressing her way, and we're struggling in some things. I want you to be a good cheer today. But once it comes to healing and being whole, understanding that once we're talking about healing and being of good cheer, once we have been afflicted with certain things, it does have an emotional effect on us that we need to be healed from. So just because you probably have went through cancer, you probably have went through a battle of a physical ailment. It could have just been, hey, walking around on crutches or in a wheelchair or whatever. There's also a mental part that needs to be healed in it. There's a healing that needs to go. So once you're coming to a wholeness, it's not only a physical healing, but you need a spiritual healing. You need a mental healing that needs to come forth. How are you actually taking care of your mental health in this area, in this mindset? Once you're going through, a lot of times people goes through sickness and it causes them to get depressed. Right. That was one of my things. I was in the military, and being in the military, all of a sudden my career ends over a surgery that was done wrong. Right. She took out the wrong part of my knee and left me unfit for duty. From there, I got depressed, right? So even though I had the physical healing eventually that came, I still battled with the emotions behind it. Why? Because the lady never did apologize for the pain that she caused me. And sometimes we can have a physical ailment, or we can have something that we have been delivered from, but we still hold on to the emotional effect from it. We're not completely whole. So in this, what he said, he had made her whole. So not only did he heal her physically, but he healed her mentally. He healed her spiritually. And so that is what I want people to understand. Once it comes to healing, make sure that you do not just stop at the physical part of it. There's some of us that are going back into traumas and stuff in our life, and we're trying to go back and we'll heal we'll forgive the action, but we forget about the emotions in which we felt, and then we do not feel whole. And so it's hard for us to be of good cheer in that we still hold on to bitterness. We still hold on to the bitterness behind it. We still hold on to the anger behind it. We still hold on to the resentment behind it. Same thing in marriages and relationships. Sometimes we can heal the infidelity, and the infidelity can stop in the marriage or whatever, but we still hold on to the emotions that happen because of that hurt, because of that trauma. We're not of good cheer. We're holding on to bitterness. We're holding on to anger. We're holding on to resentment. We're holding on to unforgiveness. So whatever it is that you have been healed from physically, whatever it is that you have been removed from, you could be removed from a domestic violence relationship. Make sure you heal completely. Make sure that you're whole in your healing. Make sure that your wholeness includes that once you're asking God to remove stuff, that you ask him to remove the emotions, that you ask him to remove the bitterness, that you ask him to remove the pain that you felt, the words, even the words. Sometimes we don't even look at the words in which people release over us. So in your healing, make sure that you are whole in it. With that, I want to bring up our guest today, Dr. Vaughn, and I want to see, what do you have to say about Matthew 9:22 and just being whole, just all being healed, not only in the physical, but just in a whole.
So, Prophetess, thank you for the opportunity to come and share. So let's hop right on in. As soon as I read this scripture, immediately I thought about the fact of the restoration after the healing. Because oftentimes we embrace the healing, but we don't actually receive the restoration. And so in this whole thing, this whole scripture is one verse is loaded. All the way from the aspect of daughter. So even in my brokenness, he had to realize that she lost a stance in relationship. And so he had to renew her. So yeah, her body might have been healed, but now her emotions, now that connectivity, that whole place in her had to be renewed. So he had to call her daughter. So he had to let her know that the illness she had experienced never stopped her from being who she was to him. But that illness now that she was been secluded, because think about the whole text. She was secluded.
Yeah.
I mean, isolated. I mean, the whole plague, you're walking around like you're nothing. Yeah. Nobody's talking to you. Nobody's checking on you. And here it is, you experience this healing, and Jesus thinks enough of you. Not only did you receive healing, but now he doesn't want you to walk around just being healed. He wants you to be whole. He wants to restore all the fragmented pieces that came from the illness, all the fragmented pieces that came from the abuse, all the fragmented pieces that came from the issues of life, all of those fragmented pieces in one verse, one statement. He restores all of that. And literally in one verse, he puts her back together. So that one thing wasn't healed. He literally was like, no, girl, you've been sick long enough. I'm making everything all right. And so for me, this right here is amazing to me, because I remember going through situations where I was broken and I needed healing. But the reason why I couldn't even enjoy my healing is because I never tapped into wholeness. So I was healed from the thing, but I was not healed and restored from the effects of the thing. And so that's why this thing, I always love this scripture, but this verse is what actually always illuminates to me, is because he literally turns. That's a whole, I told you this whole verse is loaded, prophets. I was like, wow. He turns, which means he was already going in another direction.
Yep.
So when she touched him, he was going in another direction. After he healed her, he turned and was going another direction. But still, he turns back.
And he sees her.
And he sees who everybody else never saw.
Come on.
And so he literally turns, which is an intentional movement, to see what has been forsaken by everybody else. And then gives her a title and says, she might have been forsaken by you, but she's my daughter.
Yes. Y'all, we're going to end the show on that.
I mean, listen.
Like, he turns, he sees her, and then he says, daughter. And you have to think, like how you said she was secluded or whatever. It's a lot of times when we are going through whatever the sickness is, right? Whatever the illness is, whether it's emotional, once we're going through, sometimes we do feel isolated. We do feel alone. We do feel like nobody sees us. We feel rejected. Let's just be honest. Sometimes we feel rejected. We feel rejected by men. 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 We feel rejected by, in a whole lot of areas. And in that, it's just like, wow, daughter. And sometimes it's just one word that would just break you down. Just daughter. I would have been done then. When she said daughter, that's probably why he had to come back and say, be a good cheer. Because when she said daughter, I probably would have been boo-hoo and crying. And he would have, hold on, be a good cheer. I'm coming with good news. Be a good cheer. Just to be called daughter once you have been rejected, once you had been isolated, once people have, didn't nobody want you touching. He wanted to know who touched me, and he wasn't mad about the fact that you touched me. He wasn't mad. He turned and you saw me in my brokenness. That part. You saw me once I was at my lowest low, because she was down, she was down on her, she was literally at her lowest low. You saw me once everyone else, once I'm trying to hide what is wrong with me or whatever, you still see me, you still called me daughter. You still called me daughter. And in that same hour, it didn't take him in that same hour. In that same hour. Man.
That's something about that immediately. I'm in a season where I just keep saying immediately, suddenly, now, immediately, suddenly, now, immediately, suddenly, now. And when you look at this woman suffered for years. And all I can say, how do you respond when a suffering ends in an instant? Just think about how this woman felt at this moment. Nobody was dealing with me at this point. It was literally just me and God. Like, I was isolated. Nobody was coming to see me. Nobody was coming to talk to me. I'm suffering. I done lost all my money and everything. I am suffering. And nobody cares that I'm suffering. But here it is. I, under the unction of the Holy Spirit, realized that if I can just get to Jesus, something gonna happen. And I'm gonna chance losing my life. I'm gonna chance it. But hey, it's worth the chance.
Yeah.
But not once, but twice, he turns. Because the first time he turned, she touched the hem. He turned and said, "Who touched me?" Then once he realizes her, he like, "All right, girl, you healed now." God is very in keen with the feelings of his children. He turns and realizes she's still missing a piece. And he turns and say, "Nope, I do everything all the way." He turns around and said, "Nope, I got to give you this last thing. Daughter, be of good cheer. I know you've been crying 18 years, but be of good cheer. I know you've been depressed 18 years, but today, be of good cheer. I know ain't nobody been around, but today, be of good cheer. Your faith has not healed you, but your faith has made you whole, lacking nothing, wanting for nothing, missing nothing, lacking nothing, wanting for nothing, missing nothing." In that statement, he restored everything that looked like it was dead. And I tell people all the time, everything that looks void of life ain't dead. Everything that looks void of life ain't dead. And I'm sure she thought it was no hope, but this day she realized there was life after the it. And all of us got some its. But there's life after the it. You can be made whole from the inside out and be fixed like it ain't never happened. Because that's what wholeness is. It takes the residue off you. It takes the residue off you. I don't even look like it no more. I can tell you about it, but I don't look like it. Here's this woman from that hour. She could walk around and say, "Y'all, my daddy healed me." Imagine being able to say that. Nobody wanted to talk to you. Nobody thought you was worth anything, but you can turn around and talk about, "But my daddy healed me."
It was something about me. Because I'm pretty sure that's not the only one that touched it, but it was something about me once I touched him.
Something about me.
Something about me.
Yes, indeed. Something about me. Woo! That's a whole nother conversation. Something about me.
Look, y'all, I promise y'all, we're not gonna do this. I promise, because we will probably be still sitting here talking a whole another hour about this one verse. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna step back for a minute and ask Dr. Vaughn to introduce herself to the people, because I'm just kind of worked up, and that's just something about me. I'm just gonna remove myself from the stage for a moment and just let you have that moment and introduce yourself, because it's something about me.
Absolutely.
See, I'm telling you, I'm so off. I removed the wrong person.
It's all right. Listen, sometimes that thing fill you up and it overtake you. You don't know what. Listen, it happens.
Y'all bear with me. I'm sorry, because that was good to me. That was good to me. Okay.
So, everybody, I am Dr. Shavona Whitehead, better known as Dr. Vaughn. I am the More Pusher. I am the owner and the founder of the More Experience, where I help women to break their boxes of traumatic chaos so that they can show up as their authentic selves, walking in healing and wholeness. And I am excited to be here. I am God's woman. I've been preaching over 20 years, serving God in every capacity, and literally serving God's women, literally focusing on serving God's women, because I remember a time where I needed somebody to help me heal and I didn't have anybody. But now I am that person to actually help people and push them into more. In case you want to know, more means motivated, overcomers being restored and empowered. And the More brand just means that we motivate you to get exactly to where God has you to be.
Man, look, I was surely about to ask you, like, what does more stand for?
Mm-hmm.
The more experience. So with the more experience, you cater more to women, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Empowering women. What is the biggest challenge once it comes to actually healing women, like are doing inner healing and empowering women? We was talking a little bit for it with the Bible verse, but once it actually comes to inner healing, what is the challenges that you seem to face a lot more once it comes to working with women?
The greatest challenge is getting a woman to actually understand that she deserves the healing. Women oftentimes have no problem giving grace, have no problem extending mercy, have no problem extending compassion, but we have a strong problem with giving that same measure to ourselves. And so the greatest challenge is normally getting over the hurdle to help them realize they deserve healing, no matter the guilt, the shame, no matter what happened to you. And so my motto that I always teach them in the beginning is, I am not what happened to me. I teach them. My motto to them is, I am not what happened to me. And that's why I start teaching them, to get them out of the place of the guilt and shame, to let them know healing is your portion and you deserve healing and wholeness, and God is waiting to give it to you.
I love your motto. I'm not what happened to me. Where did that come from, though? Where did it stem from? When you got that revelation, where did that revelation come from? What was it birthed out of?
So the premise from all of my teaching is, my journey is someone's freedom. And for me, that was the thing that unlocked in me. When I realized that the neglect that I experienced, the abandonment that I experienced, the betrayal that I experienced, the being overlooked that I experienced, when God gave me that revelation that part was a part of my journey, but it didn't define my destiny, I started saying to myself, I am not what happened to me. Because what happened to me was just a segment of my journey, but it didn't define who I was. And for years, I thought it did. For years, I thought it did define who I was and who I could be. And so that it was that whole come to Jesus moment, where he literally showed to me, no, you're not what happened to you. That's just a part of your journey. That's not you. That's just a part of your journey. And so that's what I share with my women, because my whole teaching is, my journey is your freedom. So I'm very transparent in my teaching. I'm very transparent in my ministry, my outreach, my community service, everything. I'm very transparent, so people don't think that, you know, you're walking around like just God, you ain't never had to deal with nothing.
Can you elaborate just a little deeper on how important, how vital, how essential transparency is now once it comes to evangelizing, once it comes to actually helping other people and actually just letting them know like, hey, I've been there?
Well, the first premise is we are the only representation of Jesus in the earth. So if I can't really be the demonstration of what he can do, how do I expect somebody to believe what he can do? And so many times we want to be super spiritual, and trust me, me and God all the way, and I'll get filled up in a heartbeat, and sometimes I'll forget where I am. But the reality of it is if I want you to know my Jesus, I got to let you know what my Jesus did for me. Why should you know him? I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you because I did this, I did that, I experienced this, I tried to do this, I used to do this, and girl, I used to do that too. However, this is how he turned me around. And I think that's what we're lacking in this season is everybody wants the image that I'm always okay. Yeah. While I'm not going to always tell you all of my vulnerable parts, because I still have a level of integrity that I have to maintain, I'm still always going to tell you that I don't always like what I do. And I don't always want to be here. Sometimes I don't want to serve. I want to sit at home. I want to chill like y'all do too. I want to do what y'all do. But then I got to remember what he snatched me out of. Then I got to remember, you know, and so sharing it, I think it helps all of us to let us know that God is still ever present and he's still moving.
I think that's good. Like once I came out of prostitution, it came from my aunt just being transparent with me and saying, you know, during that time I was stripping and prostituting. And so my aunt, she had told me, she was like, you know, girl, I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, this, that, and another. So she had made herself relatable to me first. And then afterwards, that's when she was like, you know, but I want you to know that you're better than that. And you don't have to do what I did. And go do your show that you're doing tonight, and then I don't want you to do anymore. I did that show that night. I went and got my money that night, and I did one more show after that. But then I stopped because she had empowered me. She uplifted me, and so you know how hard is it for some women to actually receive the empowerment that never received it before? For you to go into them and tell them, hey, you're better than that. You don't have to do that. How do you get over that obstacle, that hurdle of getting them to receive the empowerment?
The ironic thing is for me, the way God has me in my makeup, because I'm non-judgmental and because I'm always like that, I really believe in the love of God. Like I really believe in the Missio Dei of God that we are. And so I'm not that judgmental person. And so sometimes I'll be talking to people and literally before I get into the what you should not do, what you should do, what you do, when I just be like, you know, how you doing? I show care about the person. How you doing? How's it going? How's the family? Because I'm attentive to them as an individual before I get into the do's, don't, and all this other stuff, most of them open up to me, even about some things they say they've never shared with anybody, because they're like, you care. You really care. Yeah, I do. I don't think anybody, whether or not you choose my Jesus or not, I don't think you should suffer. I just don't think so. My heart, I think, is what actually lets women let their guard down and start trusting the God in me, not me, but the God in me. And that's how it's been for these last few years that I have even been operating in my mentorship. That's how I get.
That's very essential, because a lot of times once people feel judged, then they won't come in. You know, it's a lot of people that have turned away from the church because once they walked through the church doors, they instantly felt judged by looks. You know, they instantly felt judged just because they didn't look like everyone else. You know, because I didn't, and they feel outcast, and the looks, and then the looks, and then the whispers, and then the eyes, like, you know. And they think that they're so discreet with it, but people actually see it. They feel it, even if they don't see it, they feel it in your emotions. They feel it in your hugs, and that's what they call them church hugs, or whatever. Because them church hugs feel a little fake sometimes, and so because they just they don't really feel genuine. At times. And so it's very important that they actually feel loved.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
loved.
ma'am.
And so what are other ways in which you make them feel loved once they come into your presence or your ministry? I'm gonna call your empowerment. I'm gonna call it a ministry. That's just straight ministry to me. Once they come into your ministry, how do you make them feel loved?
So after the whole love thing, the transparency automatically kicks in for me. But then literally, as one of the ladies says, her thing is like, you see us. You don't see us as a project. You don't see us as this is my Christianly duty, or you don't see us as, something you're just doing. She said, no, you legitimately see us and we feel valuable. So you don't just say you're valuable, you make me feel valuable. And as a result, because I feel valuable, now I really do want to do the self-work on me. Because now I want to feel what you feel about me. You making me feel like I got this thing. Now I want to feel like I got it. So now I need to tell me, Dr. Bone, what do I need to do? Like, I want to go from, existing to living. So tell me what I got to do. And then they lean in. We call it leaning in my community. They lean in to whatever God has for me. And my thing is, I'm not scripted. So whatever, I have curriculums and all of that, everything, but I'm not scripted. I am just who God tells me to be in that moment. And sometimes I hear what they don't say. And so that's what they always like, Dr. Vaughn, you see me. Like, no, you really see me. And it's funny though, because even those that's not church, they got their own legal. They be like, yo, you be that one. I'd be like, yeah. and they're like, Dr. Vaughn, we know you don't know that lingo. That's fine. But I don't want you to change to talk like me. Yeah. If this is why you express, bring it on. Bring it to me. I'm good with it. And I think that's where I am is that's why God sends me, the diversity of women that he allows me to encounter, where my age bracket is the same. The diversity in those that fall in that age bracket and their histories are very, very, very vastly different.
So saying age bracket, that brought me to a question I wanted to ask earlier when she was talking is very important to knowing exactly who your voice is for, who God has actually given you influence over. Who is your voice for in this season?
So my voice, if you're talking about age bracket, my voice is for that 30 to 55 woman. If you're talking about posture, I am called to the woman with the broken root. I am called to the woman with the broken root. What do you mean, Dr. Vaughn? I'm called to that woman who had that substance and something shattered her and she hasn't been able to recover. She hasn't been able to get her value back. She hasn't been able to get her worth back. She hasn't been able to get her confidence back. She hasn't been able to get her respect, self-respect back. I am called to that woman to restore her back to self. I am called to that woman to allow her to see that she's more. That's the woman that I'm called to.
I love that you mentioned self-respect, because I think a lot of times, even as women, we fail to respect ourselves. We'll hold more respect and high regards to another female than what we will ourselves. we will look at another female that same shape, size, everything, body build of us, and we'll be like, oh, you look good, like you look, beautiful, and then we'll tear our own self down in doing it. Of once we see ourselves in the mirror, we'll look at another woman that is like really doing her best that she can for as just parenting, being a mother or whatever, and we'll uplift her and tell her, hey, you're an amazing mother or whatever. But then the first time that we forget a game or forget to get the dinner cooked by a reasonable time or whatever, now we feel like we're a bad mother, and we'll begin to disrespect ourselves. One of the things that God had me to start paying attention to was holding myself accountable to what I was actually saying to myself. And I had realized that I was disrespecting myself. It was things that I was saying to myself. It was things that I was thinking about myself, but mainly saying to myself that I would not have allowed anyone else to say to me. I would not have allowed anyone else to approach me in such a manner. However, I was doing it to myself. And so learning the self-respect. And so once I work with women, I challenge them, hey, be accountable for your thoughts. What are you saying about yourself, and what is the opposite of it? And be intentional about what you say to yourself. A lot of times we're intentional about what we say to others, but we're not as so intentional about what it is that we speak to ourselves. What do you think about that? What do you say on that?
Well, I always, and ironically, I'm actually teaching. I'm in the middle of my fall cohort now with some of my mentees, and I'm even teaching them now. Your words matter, but they matter most when you speak them to you.
Wow. Can you repeat that? Can you repeat that?
So I tell people all the time, your words matter, but they matter most when you speak them to you. Wow. We're often concerned about what we say to others, but the roots that grow are what we say to us. And so those words that you speak to yourself, those are the words that grow up in you. Those are the words. So just like other words that people speak into you, they grow up in you and become the stigmas and the false narratives you live by. Also, what you say to you is what grows. All words have roots. All words are seeds. So they all plant. But what you plant is what you reap. So you got to be careful what you're speaking, even over you. And I tell my mentees all the time, don't speak how you feel, speak what you know.
Come on.
Don't tell me how you feel. Tell me what you know.
What is one of the tools or tactics that you use to get them to pull up those roots, or just acknowledging those roots? Because some stuff they can't heal from it because they won't even confront it.
Oh, my mentees have what is called mirror time. Mirror time with Dr. Vaughn. And it's literally we all are sitting in front of a mirror. And I don't want you're not looking at your neighbor, you're not looking at your sister girl. And literally, I want you to tell me what you see.
Wow.
And they go through an exercise to tell me immediately off the mind, what do you say, what you see? And oftentimes, those words that would need to be changed is the first thing to come out their mouths. And then I literally say to you, now say what it is you want to say to the person you want to be. And they literally struggle. They be like, what? Now talk to the person that you're becoming or the one that you want to be. What would you say to her? Well, I don't know, Dr. Mom. Well, we're going to sit here and we're going to figure it out. So we go through a whole list. I want you to write down attributes and words that would describe who you want to be.
Yeah. And it's funny that you said that. I'm currently working on my doctorate degree, and one of the people I actually have heard doing mirror time, but I had actually just recently heard about mirror time done the way in which you have done it. And the lady, I mean, this lady, she said it really worked for her. It was very empowering, very moving for her. So those that are watching, take that key. Like she just dropped a huge gem for all of you, whether man or woman. She just dropped a huge gem on how to actually do wholeness, like healing and wholeness or whatever. once it comes to your mentees and to your program, where does forgiveness fall in the process of forgiving themselves?
So forgiving themselves actually becomes twofold. I teach a whole series on forgiveness from the standpoint once they actually have to forgive where it happened, but then the forgiveness of themselves is a journey for us. Because what I've learned is that the forgiveness of self has to be unpacked.
Yeah.
Because the forgiveness of self has layers to it, because you don't just have to forgive yourself from the thing that happened. Now you got to forgive yourself from the effects of the thing. You got to forgive yourself from letting yourself still be stuck to the thing. You got to forgive yourself for still doubting yourself because of the thing. Now you got to forgive yourself for losing yourself because of the thing. And then you got to forgive yourself for waiting so long to find yourself because of the thing. So it's a lot of layers to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally tell them it is your forgiveness journey. So I tell them all the time, this is not a one-time decision. Let's go on a forgiveness journey and let's pick where we're going to start. And sometimes you got to go back and forgive different people in you. And you're probably saying, Dr. Vaughn, I'm not crazy. No, hear me clearly. You have to go back sometime and forgive the 17-year-old you.
Yep.
Then forgive the 28-year-old you. Then forgive the 35-year-old you. And you might even have to come up and forgive the you from yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say forgiveness. I teach my mentees that forgiveness is not as an encounter. It's a journey. It's a journey.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm currently with my research is healing adverse childhood trauma through biblical forgiveness. And sometimes we have to go back into that childhood. Sometimes it is that restoration of ages that we have to go back and restore that little girl in us, that 5-year-old us that was molested, or the 10-year-old that was molested. And we actually have to forgive those people for those actual experiences. And sometimes I think once we're doing forgiveness, we'll look at as an individual person and just try to forgive that person and do a blanket statement. It's just like, no, you need to actually forgive the experience, how the experience makes you feel. Like it's so much that you have to unpack once it comes to forgiveness. And once you start that journey, the first couple of years of you going on that journey is a little bit stricter than longer. The process is a little bit longer. But after a while, you'll start living a life of forgiveness. And there's certain things that you'll find yourself easy to forgive, because some of that stuff doesn't even affect you. I love watching people in traffic nowadays. And I say, everybody's a Christian until you put them in traffic.
That's true.
But you put them in. So, but then you're able to kind of see people's forgiveness level too, because if someone cuts you off and instantly, their reaction is to go into rage, versus someone that just sit back and just like, and pay it no mind, it doesn't affect them one way or the other. They have quickly learned how to forgive. But and it's so funny because a lot of them, you see them with the fish symbol, and I'm just like really? You're a Christian, but you see them for cussing and fussing or whatever. Like, people see that. And so, but the forgiveness is definitely a process. For a woman that may be watching today that is just struggling with her self-esteem, just self-empowerment, what would you say if she was just looking at a screen and just speaking directly to her? What would you say to the women out there that are just struggling with self today?
And so what I would say to you, those of you that are struggling with yourself, getting back in tune with yourself, loving yourself again, and actually tapping back into your authentic self, I would say you are worth more than where you are. Circumstances and situations don't define you. They actually develop you. And if we learn to shift our perspective and realize that we are not what happened to us, we will not allow what happened to us to hold us captive. You deserve healing. You deserve wholeness. You deserve freedom. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to embrace the authenticity of the life that is supposed to be created for you. And so the false narratives, they don't matter anymore. What people thought about you don't matter anymore. What people said about you don't matter anymore. It is time to ignite your healing and wholeness journey and know you are more now. Not when you get healed, but you're more now because God has already given you the opportunity to be more, and he's called you to be more. So listen, don't miss this chance. Don't miss this opportunity to lean in and begin to embrace the you that you may have lost years ago. Embrace the you that you might have given up years ago. Embrace the you that you might have neglected. Now is the time to grab her back up, hug her, look her square in the eye in the mirror, and say, you are more now. You were broken, but that brokenness is about to bless you. You were wounded, but that woundedness is about to make you whole. This is your season to pull back in and hug you. I know you've been giving out you to a lot of people, but now is the time for you to now give into you. I just told the ladies that I ministered to a week ago, it is the season of the repossession of me. So I challenge you now, each and every one of you women, take back the keys that you gave to people that don't have the power or the capacity to be able to hold the keys that they had in your life. Today is the day that you repossess you. And that's you, the you before they broke you. So be encouraged. You can have it. Embrace you because you're absolutely amazing.
That is amazing. I love the lean in. I really do. I really love the lean in. Tell people, Dr. Vaughn, how can they connect with you?
And so you can connect with me on social media. On Facebook, it is Shavona Whitehead. On Instagram, it is I am Dr. Vaughn. You can link up and subscribe to our website, which is www.ShavonaWhitehead.com. Stay connected to us. We got some events coming up. The books that I've written are located on there. So listen, I want you to connect with me so I can help you and we can get to where we need to be, which is more.
And we have a few moments. Would you like to speak about your upcoming events?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Thank you so much. So listen, it's amazing. So on November the 11th, our Thrive Chamber Encounter will be happening here in Baltimore, Maryland. I am a person of acronyms. So Thrive means total healing and restoration, igniting victory over everything. And so we are having our Thrive Chamber Encounter, which means we are setting them up with prayer. We are setting them up with teaching, and then we're setting them up with the birthing room. And so we are expecting a move of God. You can register right down there on the website, www.ShavonaWhitehead.com. Registration is $60 and includes the all day as well as lunch. And then save the date for Restore Your Roar Experience 2024. It will be here in Baltimore, Maryland this year, May the 3rd through the 5th. We will be posting that information. It's the save the date is already on our Facebook pages as well as our website. But all of the information for you to register will launch next month. But listen, I want you to connect with me. Grab a book, grab a t-shirt. All the empowerment numbers are on our website, the books, the t-shirts. Listen, but most of all, every Tuesday at 1 p.m., which will probably be in about an hour, I do lunchtime empowerment talks with Dr. Vaughn, which is on our More Experience page. Sometimes you just need that pick me up. You need that push. You need that encouragement. It's about 15, 20 minutes. We push you real good and tell you have a good day. So listen, come on over, hang out with me every Tuesday at 1 p.m. on the More Experience Facebook page. And we'll chat in a little bit if I'll see you there.
Awesome. This is so amazing chatting with you, talking with you. And I'm just thankful that we was able to pull out because we was about to go into a whole service earlier. You definitely ignited me on today and empowered and encouraged me. So I thank you, Dr. Vaughn, for coming out. It was just a pleasure to be able to sit at your feet today and just kind of talk with you. So you have, and listen, I'm pretty sure God is going to bless and move mightily in both of your events that you have coming up and with your book. You are welcome to come back anytime, especially, hey, right before your event, come back and let's talk a little bit more about your events as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Listen, thank you, guests, for tuning in. It was an amazing show on today. I hope that you were blessed just as well as I was blessed on it. Listen, once we bring people on the show, we really want you to connect with them. As we say, networking is not about just connecting people. It's about connecting people with ideas, and people with opportunities. Make sure you reach out and connect with her. If you are in the Baltimore area, make sure that you visit, support, but also try to attend her events as well. I believe they're going to be powerful. We only got a snippet of what of the anointing that's on this woman of God's life. Promise you, hey, I love that she's out doing kingdom business, kingdom work. And so make sure you connect. With that being said, we will see y'all next week.
My King rap Jesus.